I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and my father's Edward VIII, who never married Wallace Simpson. She married a double, and it was a plot to take down my father. And when I was born in 39, they had to kidnap me in 41. My own uncle, George the illegal six, and thus Elizabeth is illegal. But what I wanted to focus on here is Snowden. I wrote about, before I found out about my kidnapping in 83, I was writing about mind control and the use. And I want to make this quick because I'm out of space here. A lot of this was put together in patterns and crypt, and it can be proven. But Edward Snowden is exiled to Russia right now for telling the truth about the National Security Agency. Now you get into, was he programmed? He told the truth. He did the right thing. His name is Edward and Snowden. Edward as in my father's name, King Edward VIII. Snowden as in Margaret. That's my name, but this is Margaret, sister of illegal Elizabeth. And you should read about their divorces, their this and that. Margaret's, and she married Snowden. His name was Anthony Armstrong Jones, and she made him. They have to give these titles, so they just make them up. They gave him as, excuse me here if I can get to all this in my hell. Anthony Armstrong Jones. They made him a Earl of Snowden and Princess Margaret, Countess of Snowden. And you read about their elaborate weddings and all that they did. This is Elizabeth. You can still see here how she lives, and the whole rotten family that they've stolen everything and taken down my father, who was married to a school teacher. My mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, sister to artist Georgia O'Keefe, born in Madison, Wisconsin. It's been a total lie, all of it. When I look, though, this that I'm telling you, if you want to go back and look at, like Larry Flint, who I was in a campaign, because I wrote a book about mind control. He was shot in Lawrenceville, or excuse me for that one, but that's the page of it. I meant the date it was published. But Mr. Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, and that was a shooting done in patterns. And he did this article, April the 4th of 84, and he says, I know who's responsible for his shootings. So I've told about mind control murders, and they can be proven. Elvis was one of them, and I guess this is what President Obama would like to say is not really news, fake news. No, it's not fake news, and he knows it very well. He does. If he doesn't, something's wrong with him. Anyway, well, this makes sense to you or not, this little short one that I'm putting up. You can go back and look at my, I have two YouTubes because somebody tried to take down and change my passwords because I had all this up on YouTube. Now there's two of them. By the way, if you want to know her name, she lives in a beautiful home that was given to her because they moved her over to where I used to walk up the mountain pass road and live on the Appalachian Trail and freeze and starve. She's the one that on the eve of, well, it was Easter this year. Saturday before Easter, last of March. She got a hold of my phone. She had moved in, but if you ever hear her, and my meeting her and where she lived and the name of her adopted children and her, you'll see why they moved her in. This has been done at such a high level. Elvis Presley was killed. I can go on and name you a lot of stars. And Mr. Flint had a list, and so did Jack Hartsfield, a reporter, kin to Hank Hartsfield, the astronaut. He was a reporter, FBI. So there's lists of these out there. Mind control murders. O.J. Simpson, you got Jesse Matthews here in this area, Charlottesville, that's in prison. You've got stars, Steve McQueen, and these, the Virginia Tech. You've got the Murphy. I can't remember her first name right at the moment. This is going to sound garbled, but it's these mind controls were done in patterns. And Snowden, Edward Snowden, is the gentleman who's exiled for telling the truth about national security. Well, he gets into, I'm Victoria II, I found out in 83 about my kidnapping. My dad's Edward VIII, married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, never married Wallace Simpson. They had a plot to take him down, and my own uncle, Roosevelt, Rockefeller, they took him down. And then they had to kidnap me to cover it up some more. I was born because of the addendum my father placed on his forced abdication. It was legal, and the day I was born Victoria II, heir to the British throne. My dad would have come back as power of attorney and my guardian, so then they had to kidnap me. This is my own family, and I hate to say it now, that's so renowned. This woman's illegal. She's using my money, my clothes, everything. When I say clothes, what she's bought, I don't have any. You should see mine. I've got about 2 pieces of clothing, actually. I made a pauper, and I look back and I was reading about the Anthony Armstrong Jones that became the Earl of Snowden, and they gave him a title, thus, sad, she's got my name, unreal. I can't. Elizabeth, and then her sister married Snowden, gave him a title. They were talking about the beautiful weddings that were paid for by me, my dad, the real king, and me, the real monarch. And you know what I wore when I married my husband? And that marriage was meant to be. I didn't know it because I didn't know about my name and kidnapping at the time. I was flown to Florida, and I had a learner dress. And in case you don't know how much you pay for those, that's the cheapest. It's like going to Walmart and buying your wedding dress. And my shoes were the same caliber, and the beat goes on unless somebody stops the crooked mess. And by the way, the affairs and the divorces and all that, you know, they took my father down with a lie. He wasn't married to Wallace Simpson. And one of the reasons that in the whole mess was that he was marrying a divorcee, Wallace Simpson. Well, that was a lie. She married a double. The whole thing was a plot. All you have to do is dig him up out of, he died in 72 and was buried at Frogmore, Windsor Castle. Dig him up. That's not my father. This is my father, the real king. She married a double, and I think there must have been 2 or 3 doubles used in it. And all the antics and crimes he committed were contributed to my father, which is a lie. My father married a school teacher, a beautiful lady. They took down a beautiful man, and I think history certainly needs to be corrected, and the war crimes addressed, and specifically Henry Kissinger. And no, I'm not lying. All of it's true. Henry Kissinger was on the Watergate tapes that were deleted. They were anyway. When I worked at the DA's office, Fred Simpson, in 80. By the way, that's when John Lennon was shot and killed by Mark David Chapman, a program shooter. And I'm very tired, so I'm not going to finish this, other than if it sounds garbled, maybe you should walk in my shoes for a second. It's Christmas, and I haven't seen my children, Mark and Scott, who are heirs after me, and it's very scary. I wonder if they're still alive. But anyway, I wanted to put this up, and the murders that I've told of, and there are a lot, that how do you prove it? Mind control is invisible. These were done in patterns. And Scott, you can tell I'm tired this morning. Um, okay, Mark Geragos defended him. Scott, well, for goodness sakes, I can't believe it. You know who was supposed to have shot his wife and all that out in California. I was in contact with Mark Geragos, and he's a very nice man. They won't allow this. This is evidence that is not entered into court, what I'm speaking of. They say you can't see it. And first of all, if they entered it into court, they'd need my testimony, which would bring out my kidnapping, who I am, and all this whole mess they don't want told. But it's evidence deleted. It's mind control, and some of it can be proven, like the Alexis Murphy, and I'm not going to go into the others, the British young girl that was killed, and Jesse Matthews is in prison for it. He was programmed. He's a victim himself, just like the person who committed the shootings over at Virginia Tech. And there's lists of them. You can put them together there. The Oklahoma City bombing with Timothy McVeigh, who said the military put a chip up his buttocks. But there's a whole list of them. O.J. Simpson, Aurora, Colorado, and they try to say part of them are mentally ill, which is a lie. Mental illness has nothing to do with mind control and programming.